Welcome to Astro Venture, the DSLR astrophotography channel. Welcome back, Astro Venturers. If you're new here, my name is George, and I want to welcome you to this astrophotography channel for DSLR and mirrorless camera bodies, combined with the lenses we own and a simple star tracker. In this week's episode of Up in the Night Sky, we're going to be taking a look at the Gamma Cygni Nebula. But before we do, I need to bring up a comment that we read on a previous video from one of our viewers. That comment read, "It would be helpful to also know the Bortle scale that each image was taken in." It was quite funny reading this comment because after reading it, it was one of those palm to forehead going, how did we miss that? And so I want to thank you for the comment. We always read the comments, and moving forward, we will make sure that we are including the Bortle scale. Again, I can't believe that we didn't. Back to this week's Up in the Night Sky. So as I said, Gamma Cygni Nebula. This nebula is located in the constellation Cygnus. Now, the Cygnus Constellation is the swan. Cygnus translates to swan. And in the northern hemisphere, it's easily locatable in the July night sky overhead. Cygnus flies down from north to south, flies down the Milky Way. And it's a very obvious constellation once you've spotted it and you've identified it. The nebula we're after, Gamma Cygni, is located right next to the star Satyr. Satyr is the heart of the swan. It's right there at the center. And the star Satyr is an absolutely massive star. This star is 150 times the radius of our own sun and 33,000 times brighter. Sunburn, anyone? And located right next to it and in and around it is the Gamma Cygni Nebula, along with a lot of nebulosity. And for this particular one, you're going to be pointing your camera lens directly at Satyr, the heart. Our setup for this Up in the Night Sky image was a 70 to 200 millimeter lens set at 200 millimeters. Our aperture on this lens was f4. ISO on the camera was set at, what was it set at? It was set at 800. And then the exposure time for each one of the subs was 2.5 minutes. We collected data for a total of 3 hours. This week, capturing this image, we were presented with a few problems. Right now, California, as is typical during the summer, has a lot of fires going. And the fires, the smoke from the fires tends to travel north through California, hangs a right turn across the top of Nevada and across the top of Utah. So we had to shoot through the smoke in the atmosphere, and it was quite tough. In hindsight, if we didn't have the smoke, I could probably have shot at an ISO of 400 because we were located in an area that was a Bortle class 4, maybe sometimes 3, depends, but we'll say Bortle class 3, 4 night sky. So we probably could have done an ISO of 400, but because of the smoke, it made it a little bit more challenging, so we bumped our ISO up to 800. This particular nebula is best shot on a full spectrum modified camera. However, it can be captured with a stock DSLR or mirrorless camera. The red, the hydrogen alpha, just won't be quite as strong as what it would be with a full spectrum camera. Knowing this, I would probably suggest that you stay up at the 800 ISO. On my full spectrum, I probably could have dropped back to 400, but for the stock camera, I would suggest going to the 800. After all of the images were shot for a total of 3 hours, we stacked them, stretched them, and edited the images, and this is what we have here. It is a beautiful, large nebula. Right now, in the month of July, it's an outstanding time to shoot it, and the reason being is because around that 11, 12 o'clock hour, it's located almost straight up ahead. And when you're wanting to do astrophotography, targets that are as straight up overhead as you can get are the easiest to get because you're punching through the atmosphere at what would be the thinnest point, because as you come down the horizon, you start shooting through the atmosphere, you can get distortion and you can lose light. So ideally you want to shoot straight up and overhead. And right now in the month of July in the northern hemisphere, this target is in an excellent position to photograph. Now coming up next month, just to let you know that it's coming, Andromeda, which is starting to show up here in the northern hemisphere. I'm located in northern Utah. It's starting to get itself up there in the 2-3 o'clock hour of the early morning. However, the sun does tend to mess things up as we're starting to get first light around 4 a.m. So I want you to know Andromeda is coming up, and next month in August should be a really ideal time to go after that target. So I hope this helps you. I encourage you, go out there, try photographing Gamma Cygni Nebula. Please tag it with Up in the Night Sky. And until our next episode, please consider subscribing, ring the bell, and I wish you clear skies.